4chan is like the Wild West of the internet, where anything and everything goes. From being the birthplace of countless memes to hosting some of the weirdest and most disturbing stories you will ever hear. Whatever you hear out of curiosity, or maybe you're already familiar with 4chan's chaotic energy, this video is for you. Today we are diving into the darkest 4chan corners. But this is a Supercut Edition. That means no fluff. We are heading straight into the bizarre, unsettling and sometimes downright creepy parts of this infamous site. I am 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙪𝙪, your guide for this deep dive, so grab a drink, get a snack, and let's jump right in.
Dear citizens of the world, the time for truth has arrived, a time for freedom and transparency, a time for people to express themselves freely and to be heard from anywhere across the world.
They hacked corporations, challenged governments, and they are a perfect way to start this deep dive about 4chan. So the first entry is about Anonymous. They're a collective identity used by users of 4chan, and there is no way you didn't hear about them or at least seen their masks somewhere online. But did you know about their history and what are the masks standing for? If not, let me explain to you.
Exactly, it's a violation of freedom of speech, and it's Anonymous and a lot of other movements regard the internet as sort of independent from any government, and they regard a government interfering in the free flow of the internet as stepping outside of their jurisdiction.
Today they are known as a decentralized international activist and hacktivist collective, and primarily known for their various cyber attacks.
We are anonymous, we are strong, we do not forgive, we do not forget.
Well, to your surprise, it all started on 4chan's B-board, where users post without usernames. The B-board, also called Random, is an anonymous image board on 4chan. It was the first board created during the establishment of the platform in 2003, and it stands for anime/random. A lot of internet memes originate from the B-board, and also many people refer to it as a cesspool of the internet because of how strange the posts there are. Since the default label for users is anonymous, the name became a pseudonym for anyone posting without a handle.
They call themselves Anonymous. They are hackers on steroids, treating the web like a real-life video game, sacking websites, invading MySpace accounts, disrupting innocent people's lives.
This would lead more often to chaotic, unfiltered discussions and pranks. Users would sometimes jokingly act as if Anonymous was a single individual, just to prank others.
Their name comes from their secret websites. It requires anyone posting on the site to remain anonymous.
However, over the time this idea of a hive mind emerged, with users acting as a single force rather than individuals, which became their central identity. They started to take form around 2006, evolving beyond a loosely organized group to a group of people with a shared ideology around free speech and anti-censorship. But their start was much different from the things we have seen in recent years. So let's talk about the raid on July 12, 2006, where a large number of 4chan users invaded the Finnish social networking site 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙪𝙪. And if you didn't know, 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙪𝙪 is a virtual world MMO game. And a problem that Anonymous detected is that one of the moderators of this game would suddenly ban people of color, which made Anonymous quite angry, and that would lead that the group would create avatars of black men wearing a grey suit and an afro hairstyle and block the entry to the pool, declaring that it was closed due to AIDS, and forming special type of formation in the game with their avatars. Still, this was only the start of Anonymous, but it showed their character and their philosophy.
They get what they call lulls.
Lulls is a corruption of LOL, which stands for laugh out loud. Anonymous gets big lulls from pulling random pranks. For example, messing with online children's games like Habbo Hotel. The pranks are often anti-Semitic or racist and always posted on the internet.
But now let's address the first proper operation. Due to the growing traffic on 4chan's board, users soon began to plot prank-off sites using Internet Relay Chat or IRC. These raids resulted in the first mainstream press story about Anonymous. A reporter by Fox station KTTV in Los Angeles reported about a group called Hackers on Steroids, Domestic Terrorists, and the Internet Hate Machine. And just like that, they gained widespread attention, so to speak. But they would take these attacks to another level as they decided to attack a religious group, and a special one at that, the believers of the spaghetti monster.
You're right! It's so simple! God is a spaghetti monster! Oh, thank you! Jeez, my eyes are open!
No, something much more serious. I present you the Operation 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙘𝙪𝙪, where in 2008 they planned and carried out a high-profile protest against the Church of Scientology. If you didn't know, Scientology isn't something you should mess with.
Remini spoke to the Today Show about the controversy.
If you speak out, you're labeled an enemy to the church, and the church has policies on how to deal with its enemies, and they go after them.
But why did they target a religion in the first place? It was quite simple. The church attempted to censor a leaked video of Tom Cruise promoting Scientology.
I think it's a privilege to call yourself a Scientologist, and it's something that you have to earn. We are the authorities on getting people off drugs. We are the authorities on the mind. We are the authorities on improving conditions. Criminon, we can rehabilitate criminals. Way to happiness, we can bring peace and unite cultures.
This struck a nerve with anonymous users who, as you know, are opposed to censorship. This would lead to a campaign that involved coordinated online attacks and prank calls. But it didn't stop there, as there was a real-world protest outside the Church of Scientology, with many protesters wearing the Guy Fawkes mask, inspired by the graphic novel V for Vendetta. This mask would become eventually their symbol, representing their collective and its stance against perceived authority.
And whether or not we get viewed as vigilantes or whatever, hey, we'll take however people view us is how they view us.
During the cyber attacks or DDoS attacks, a group of anonymous uploaded a YouTube video with a robotic voice which would speak on their behalf.
Anonymous has therefore decided that your organization should be destroyed, for the good of your followers, for the good of mankind and for our own enjoyment.
Within 10 days, the video has attracted hundreds of thousands of views, which was quite a big thing back in the day. It's no wonder that this group became quite famous. There were also a few more attacks over the years, some more famous than others, but I wanna address some of them just to give you a better insight on their philosophy. The first one we are going to address was in 2010, when they launched Operation Payback in response to Apex Software's DDoS attacks on copyright infringement sites like the Pirate Bay, and they would target other companies that would restrict the internet freedom.
I mean, when circumstances arose surrounding WikiLeaks, it was a much graver threat, one that required immediate action, and we will fight for the vindication of WikiLeaks, and the events surrounding the Pirate Bay have not been forgotten. Companies like this are playing a cruel game with the public and will make them lose.
After WikiLeaks, they faced service shutdowns due to leaked US diplomatic cables, and Anonymous added Operation Avenge Assange.
Supporters of WikiLeaks have crashed the Visa website overnight. The hackers are part of a collective called Anonymous. Yesterday they successfully attacked the MasterCard and PayPal online systems.
Although they briefly managed to shut the site down, they did manage to make $5.5 million in damages.
It's been called Operation Payback. So-called hacktivists secretly infiltrate thousands of other online computers whose owners are unaware of the process. They form a so-called zombie army of robo or slave computers that bombard the mainframes of the target companies with so many messages, the target computers slow down or crash under the onslaught.
But later, their IP addresses were provided to the FBI, which led to 14 arrests in 2013. The next operation was between 2010 and 2012, called Arab Spring, where they took action to support activists and protesters in the countries like Tunisia and Egypt.
Anonymous has heard the cries for freedom from the Tunisian people and has decided to help them win this battle against oppression.
They provided technical support such as guidelines on bypassing government internet censorship and organized once again DDoS attacks on the government websites. And the last one of them, and probably the most famous one, happened around 2011, targeting child exploitation websites on the dark web. The operation began when they discovered a large network of CP sites hosted on a dark server known as a Freedom Hosting. This server was notorious for hosting illegal content, including CP material. Anonymous members deemed it necessary to expose and take down these sites, seeing as a moral obligation. The members would hack these servers, gaining access to usernames of these people who hosted these sites, and they would later publish over 1500 usernames associated with Lolita City to bring attention to this issue and put pressure on authorities to take action. They released a statement explaining the moral reasoning behind this operation, emphasizing that their actions were intended to fight against the presence of exploitative and harmful content on the dark web. They expressed a stance of zero tolerance toward child exploitation, framing their actions as a form of digital vigilantism. Now, even if this sounds quite noble, there was also the operation called Ferguson in 2014, which was a shot in the back.
This week's brutal kill George Floyd, which has sparked protests and national outrage, is merely the tip of the iceberg in a long list of high-profile cases of wrongful death at the hands of officers in your state.
Where they, after the death of Michael Brown, they would threat to release the personal information about Ferguson police officers if no action was taken.
People have had enough of this corruption and violence from an organization that promises to keep them safe. After the events of the past few years, many people are now beginning to learn that you are not here to save us, but rather, you are here to oppress us and carry out the will of the criminal ruling class. Unfortunately, we do not trust your corrupt organization to carry out justice, so we will be exposing your many crimes to the world. We are Legion.
The problem was that the group ultimately leaked the incorrect information about one officer, which led to a significant backlash and claims that Anonymous was irresponsibly doxing individuals without proof. I just wanted to say that, but some would say that their defining aspect is they will stand against anyone who opposes them. The collective has also no formal membership, anyone can join or leave, making it nearly impossible to shut it down as a whole. But again, there were several arrests over the years. Their philosophy centers around freedom of information, anti-censorship, and the resistance to authorities and surveillance, which is more and more prominent in this day and age. Many of my videos are censored or altered to fit within the guidelines, and sometimes I don't even manage to achieve that, and because of that I would greatly appreciate if you decide to subscribe to my channel and leave a like, because it would help me immensely to grow this channel, so you can be part of the Snorky community. But we can't deny that some of their actions have been controversial or have been seen as reckless, but they have raised awareness on issue of digital rights, privacy and freedom. There are quite interesting but also deep topic to dive in, but this should give you a good overview of them. So let's dive into something even more serious, and that's the trailer of GTA 4. We just happen to be a group of people on the internet who need just kind of an outlet to do as we wish, that we wouldn't be able to do in regular society. That's more or less the point of it. Do as you wish. There is a common phrase, we are doing it for the lols.
Anonymous hacked his site and plastered it with gay sex pictures. His girlfriend left him.
Who's that Pokemon?
Come on, be honest. Have you ever been rickrolled? Based on the comment sections of this music video, there are a whole bunch of us. Before we discuss 4chan's disturbing, weird and extreme cases, let's discuss a very important part of 4chan, its meme culture. Although the previous century was quite serious, this is completely harmless. But how many people know the origin of this prank? I was certainly surprised, as it was more interesting than I initially thought. As you can expect, it all started with the image board on 4chan in 2006, where there was a small beta switch prank called duck rolling. Here a link would supposedly lead you to an image or some other type of content, but instead you were met with an edited image of a duck with wheels. leading to the term duck roll. In 2007, a user of 4chan applied this bait and switch method to the music video Never Gonna Give You Up, claiming it was a trailer for GTA 4. As GTA 4 was a highly anticipated game, there is no wonder that a whole bunch of people fell for this prank, and it quickly replaced duck rolling, and it became known as Rick rolling, and the rest is history. The meme expanded to other social media sites where people would try to trick their friends into watching this video. By 2008, this was mainstream culture. The meme would even more grow in prominence when YouTube's April Fool's Day prank redirected all homepage links so that people would get rickrolled. Later that year, Rick Astley himself participated in the meme during the Macy's Thanksgiving Days Parade, surprising audiences by performing this song on a float, making it one of the largest rickrolls at the time. He fully embraced this meme. Also in 2007, the episode The Gang Dances Their Ass Off, It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, also included this song, with the creators of the show unaware of the song rising comedic popularity.
What are you listening to?
Rick Astley, what's up?
Leading them to incorrectly claiming they have invented this trend in a podcast in 2021. Do you remember how Anonymous attacked the Church of Scientology? I did mention that during this protest outside of the church, protesters would also play and chant the lyrics, essentially rickrolling the church, just to mock its attempts to control information. The rickroll became a symbol of resistance to censorship, and this is so 4chan. Rickrolling continued to appear across multiple platforms and media, including sport events, television shows, and even political settings. There is no point to addressing everyone who has been rickrolled, but you can always tell me in the sections when was your first time you have been rickrolled. What is also important to mention is that this video sits currently at 1.5 billion views, and also in the interview in March of 2008, the singer said that he found rickrolling of Scientology to be hilarious.
Here's a song by a gay guy.
I feel like Wojciech's existence sparked a whole internet movement. Again, there is no chance you didn't see Wojciech himself or some other alliteration of him online, as this is still a trend going on quite strong. But did you know that this trend again started on 4chan? Well, it was created there, and later it would be modified and remixed in countless ways. Wojciech embodies a range of emotions and perspectives across various internet subcultures. Wojciech is also known as the Feels guy, typically featuring a simple, hand-drawn depiction of a bold, expressionless man with an often melancholic or contemplative facial expression. Wojciech is believed to have originated on a German image board, Grauchan. Aber was zum Teufel ist ein Grauchan? Komisch. Gehen wir weiter. I also have found out that in 2009 or 10 a Polish user first posted this image, calling it Wojciech, which is a common Polish name as I figure out, and he describes it as the Feels guy because of the character's expression of loneliness, regret, and the sense of being misunderstood. What important is that these themes have resonated with many users, and because of this, Wojciech would quickly spread through 4chan, especially in the R9K, a board known for posts about social anxiety, loneliness, and personal struggles. The character over time would evolve into a symbol, and on 4chan, Wojciech became that symbol of a everyman figure for those who are struggling with personal and social issues. But Wojciech would also alter and fit many other purposes. And now let's address a few of them, one of them being the Doomer Wojciech. He has an unshaved face, looks tired, empty eyes, representing feelings of hopelessness and nihilism. Doomer Wojciech became popular around 2018, symboling a generation's pessimism and detachment from society. Also, there are songs remixed online in a way so they are slower with added reverb, accompanied with the Wojciech meme gif walking endlessly around on your screen. The best playlist out there if you want to take a bath with a toaster, trust me. There are also a few more variants like the Doomer Girl, a female counterpart to Doomer Wojciech. She is sometimes depicted as the romantic partner of Doomer, creating a storyline of two lost souls navigating their bleak lives together. And there is also the Zoomer, which is a generational contrast to the Doomer. Zoomer Wojciech has a more upbeat, normie personality, embodying often the stereotypical traits about Generation Z. Psst, hey, you wanna hear more about Gen Z's problems? Here is a video for you, check it out later. People would often online see Wojciech as more than just a meme. Some would say it's a real symbol that reflects different interest subcultures and reflects various attitudes and emotions shared by the people online. But Wojciech embedded himself as a meme not only on 4chan but on every other social media out there. And to be perfectly honest, I love to throw some nostalgic 90s music with some Doomer twist to it, or those crazy motivational videos about how Doomer turns his life around. Definitely good stuff, but the next entry is far more extreme. Come on, we couldn't talk about Rick and Wojciech without mentioning Pepe the Frog. I love how this iceberg starts so innocent and then makes a 180 and starts diving into the most weird and obscure stuff you find online. Again, as we're discussing memes, we can't skip Pepe the Frog, so let's look into his history. He's initially an innocent and laid-back character. He's a character from the comic Boys Club by Matt Fury, which became a staple on 4chan's B and R9K boards in early 2000s. However, it isn't as simple as it may seem at first glance. Pepe was absorbed by various political groups, which worsened his image despite his carefree attitude. Like in 2015, a number of Pepe variants were associated with the alt-right movement. Some of them are the specific N group aus Deutschland, the Triple K clan and the White Power group, and I just slow to wiggle through the guidelines. But just like Wojciech, over time users began to create their own versions and share it online, and Pepe would start representing everything from happiness to despair, anger, and to no one's surprise he would also start to represent and support different type of ideologies.
Interrupt you, Joe, but no, please do. There's something about the idea that the effectiveness of this meme is that it tangles people with no sense of humor in knots. And,
and that's a huge part of why those things are generated.
That's why they like it.
That's exactly right.
They love it.
Right.
Two of my favorite Pepe versions are the Angry Pepe .
The color of the pen that I hold in my hand is...
Depicted with the red eyes and a very intense facial expression. This version became common as users reacted to polarizing topics and represented frustration, or the sad Pepe version, especially the one with the fork. And once again, a meme became a symbol, this time on the politically incorrect board. He became particularly prominent in the 2016 US election, where he was widely used in memes supporting Donald Trump's presidential campaign. Poor Pepe. Memes would often emerge featuring Trump as Pepe, and because of this, the ADL or Controversy and Anti-Defamation League decided to designate Pepe as a hate symbol in 2016. I bet you didn't know that.
A popular cartoon character turned internet meme, Pepe the Frog, has been added to the Anti-Defamation League's database of hate symbols. In a press release, the organization wrote the character had been, quote, used by haters on social media to suggest racist, anti-Semitic, or other bigoted notions as a hate symbol, end quote.
This decision caused a significant public reactions and backlash, with many people pointing out that Pepe was a neutral meme character long before he was involved in any political debates. Matt, the creator of Pepe, spoke out against the politicization of the character and even launched campaigns to reclaim Pepe as a symbol of positivity.
A lot of different emotions. I don't think the alt-right has the power to be able to reclaim them for their own. And I think Pepe as a meme and Pepe as kind of a symbol for youth culture and internet culture and stuff kind of transcends what's going on right now in American politics.
But is he that innocent? After all, have you heard about the Kek and the cult of Kek? This is basically a pseudo-religion around Pepe, known as the Cult of Pepe. This originated from a series involving the Egypt god Kek, who was depicted as a frog-headed entity and associated with chaos and transformation. Users on 4chan created a mythology around Pepe as Kek, often referring to him as a prophet figure who symbolized chaos and a cultural shift, and this religion perfectly fit into the role of 4chan.
Manifests himself in the 5 divine aspects of Kek: mischief, enlightenment, merriment, and edification. The final aspect, shifting, is the process by which memes manifest in our world.
And there is also the fictional country created by 4chan called Kekistan, with a flag that resembles a very old German flag I don't want to mention or show here.
Oppressed people of Kekistan, they will be heard, they will be set free. Their reparations for Kekistan now.
So despite being an uplifting cartoon frog, Pepe is going through some rough times as he was transformed into a very powerful symbol with many different meanings depending on which side of the politics you are. And I never thought we would sit here and dive into meme history, but here we are.
And so a lot of these kids are lost in the underworld, let's say, in nihilism, and they turn to these ideological solutions because they don't know what else to do, and they're angry. It's like, I have something better for them to do. Grow the hell up and sort yourself out as an individual.
4chan is the largest English image board. It's a community of 12 million people who come to the site, hang out, post pictures, post comments.
Go to the political board and you'll find racism, anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, misogyny. It's all there.
What if I told you that one of the most interesting, chaotic, unfiltered communities was created by a 15-year-old? Who was that teen who thought 4chan was something the internet needed? As this video is, I would consider all things 4chan. I love how the creator of this chart, old friend 9642, included Mod. Mod, otherwise known by his birth name Christopher Pole, is the creator of 4chan. And yes, he was only 15 when he created it.
And you started this just like in your bedroom kind of thing?
Yeah, I was 15 years old.
Even if you're not familiar with the site itself, you probably heard about many wild stories about it, like convincing people to shave their heads.
Here's the before and after pictures.
To the creation of the group Anonymous, to some more disturbing stuff, which I will touch upon later.
The judge also cited that the top being inspired by videos of Christchurch that were posted on 4chan.
So I do feel like this series is great for everyone who wants to take a deep dive into 4chan, as more or less everything is covered to some degree. Now why would this 15-year-old create a website focused on anonymity? Well, he was a weeb and liked to do a bit of on the side. It's a joke, obviously. Mod was born in 1988 and grew up in New York City. As a teenager, he developed some interest in some more edgy stuff and became the member of Something Awful, a website featuring blogs, forums, articles, and edited pictures in a comedic way. But the second site he liked to visit, which sparked the creation of 4chan, is the anonymous Japanese text board 2channel and its offshoot 2chan, also known as Futaba channel.
So I was into anime when I was 15, for a summer, and I discovered this website, Futaba, and what really struck me about Futaba channel is that on Western forums, it was really hard to find lots of activity, and so Futaba is...
Kunlin and Sen were the people who visited 2chan. Much like 4chan, they could enjoy the site without giving up their identity. On the site you could visit story and image boards where people would talk about everything from daily personal problems, sports, ramen, and basically nothing was off limits. This is also the site who would give birth to the otaku culture, enthusiasts of anime, manga, and gaming. But Mod had just one problem with the site. It was a Japanese board, so there was a language barrier here.
And you could go on any Futaba board and you could just hit your refresh key and get a whole new slate of posts. And I don't speak Japanese, so I didn't understand the comments, but it's an image-centric site, and so it was accessible to me because I understood what the images were.
Not only that, but the West didn't have a site that would dive so much into the Japanese culture as he would like to. Inspired by this site, Mott would use 4chan as a template as he created 4chan in 2003. The goal was quite simple. He wanted to create a place where people would share anime, mangas, without the need for usernames or logins. A full, anonymous and open space. That social media sites would often compromise a lot of your information just to be used, and he didn't like that one bit.
But I think that the greater good is that is being served here by just allowing people. There are very few places now where you can go and not have an identity, to be completely anonymous and say whatever you'd like. And saying whatever you like, I think is powerful. Doing whatever you like is now crossing a line. But I think it's important to have these places where people, I get emails, people say thank you for giving me this place, this outlet where I can come after
Mott started quite small and shared the site just among his friends, and he probably never knew he would create a site that would change the internet culture as a whole. 4chan quickly became so much more than a simple forum site, if we can call it that. And just like I said, the site turned into a birthplace of memes, movements and trends. 4chan boards like the B-board and the poll board allowed users to say almost anything, no filters and no barriers. This led to one of the internet's most notorious anything goes cultures. Users celebrated their freedom of expression, but sometimes this freedom would spiral down hard into the most offensive and disturbing situation you can think of and let your imagination run wild. The anonymity provided by such platforms has a significant psychological effect, influencing how people express themselves and interact with others. Anonymity reduces the pressure to conform to social norms or to present yourself in a particular way, freeing people, so to speak, without the fear of judgment. This will result in people feeling they won't face any accountability. And just like that, 4chan's environment became actually a breeding ground for harmful and dangerous groups and content. But why I'm telling you all of this? Well, in 2015, after more than a decade of running 4chan, Mott announced he was stepping down.
There was a real problem because once you have lots of not safe for work stuff on the site, people think that that's okay, and that's the real danger. It's not really having the not safe for work stuff. It's just when your community all of a sudden now thinks that it's okay, either that they can get away with it, or that it's accepted and it's permissible. It's so hard to kind of pull back from that. And
burned out from the responsibilities, he handed the control of 4chan over to Hiroyuki Nishimura, the creator of the original 2chan. The site that has inspired 4chan in the first place. What a plot twist, am I right? But there were also good times for Mott, like how he was voted to the most influential person in 2008, receiving over 16 million in votes in an open internet poll conducted by Time magazine. He managed to surpass people like Obama and Oprah. This only happened because of 4chan. It was later revealed that users on the B-board had manipulated the poll results in Paul's favor. Several tools were created to assist in this manipulation, including a site that would cast votes for Paul at a rate of about 100 votes per minute.
Decided they wanted me to win it. I didn't instruct them to do it, they just decided that that's what they wanted, and so, 390% approval rating isn't so bad. So they broke that poll, and I ended up on top. I ended up at this really fancy party.
But other entries in the poll were also tampered with, because the first letter of each entry formed a word spelling out marble cake, also the game, which is a reference to a IRC chat room where Project Chronology originated.
But that's not what's interesting about this. It's that they weren't putting me at the top of this list. They were actually, it got so sophisticated to the point where they gamed all of the top 21 places to spell marble cake also the game. The amount of time and effort that went into.
But where is Paul now? Well, he was hired by Google in 2016 to work on Google+, a social network, and he was also product manager. But he left the company in 2021, and Mott would simply disappear and stay out of the spotlight. 4chan's culture of anonymity, freedom of speech and viral influence have spread across the internet and changed the internet culture for better or worse. And it all started with a teenager's vision of an open, anonymous space. Christopher Paul may have less fortune, but the site and his impact still lives on. Quite a legacy to have, but I'm not sure if it's one to be proud of. This is something I'll let you to decide.
I think that the internet is a paradigm shifting force that will integrate with the blogosphere and folksonomy, and it will leverage synergies between multinational corporations and different countries to provide the globalized environment that mankind so needs.
Konnichiwa, you magnificent bastards!
How to approach this topic without offending anyone? It feels like I wanna have a run blindfolded over a minefield, but here we go. Weeaboo or weeb can be quite upsetting for many people if they were labeled as such. Additionally, this term often comes with a lot of stereotypes that are sometimes funny but also sometimes quite disturbing. Well, if you didn't hear about this term, first, good for you. But if you didn't know, this was/still is used as a derogatory term referring to non-Japanese people who are completely obsessed with the Japanese culture, often to a cringe-worthy degree.
And there we go. The obvious answer that I have known. You've proven me right. Look at you. Thinking you have all the power in the world, thinking you could trick me. I've fallen for your illusion. How disappointing. So, you're gonna longingly gaze at me.
Many would think of weebs like that one fat guy who lives by his parents in the basement and having a huge manga collection and a $2,000 katana that he can't even use. And Oza, anime body pillar, otherwise known as his waifu. And they would also consider him probably detached from reality.
I'm the crazy weeaboo. Oh, that's not normal.
This would be a stereotypical view of someone who would use the term weeb in a derogatory sense. But there is actually a lot more to this term, that's why we will dive into this topic very open-minded. Let's start from the very beginning. As you know, 4chan was created as a hotspot for animes in mind, as I previously discussed. This is where the term started as a derogatory word for people who were overly obsessed with Japanese culture, especially anime, mangas, to the point of disregarding their own culture.
Just because you try and dress and act like a certain ethnic group, it doesn't mean you're that ethnic group. You know, when I was younger, I used to want to be Thomas the Tank Engine, but that's never happened.
The word has a quite unusual origin. It originally appeared in a webcomic called Perry Bible Fellowship, and it is a completely made up nonsense word, and 4chaners do love to discover new slangs to insult someone. And here we are. The people who adopted Japanese phrases and acted in a way that felt cringe or fake were called weebs.
You know, you really shouldn't mess with anime nerds.
I speak Hammer! Chidori!
The major criticism of weeaboo culture is that it often romanticizes Japan in an unrealistic way.
Happy birthday, Kotonoha! Happy birthday to you!
Instead of seeing Japan as a complex country with its own social and political issues, many weeaboos imagine that it's the ideal place where they would be accepted for their quirks.
See, also having the tongue too short for the glass.
Where people behave like anime characters and where they would easily find a romantic partner. This can sometimes include racial and sexist ideas, like assuming Japanese women would adore foreign men simply for being not Japanese. But don't worry, if you're ugly in the West, you're certainly ugly in Japan also. Weebs are also criticized through a feminist lens, as I figure out, because sometimes, and let me repeat that, sometimes groping and SAing someone in anime seems completely okay and even considered funny. Being a feminist or just a human being, this should be disturbing. But the most controversial part of weeboos are the ones who love a certain type of manga called a love, because many people consider weeboos as PDFs just because of this. We discussed this topic while covering Shadman, who was a lol artist. If you don't know what this is an extremely weird type of a I don't know if I can call that even art, because it is sick as fuck. But to cut to the chase, it's portraying girls who are often like ageless or immortal or something in a very suggestive and pornographic way. Also, they have bodies of children. But they are immortal, all 200 years old according to the manga, so it's okay. Just this one thing, ask yourself who is driving this type of content and for whom. Plus, there are artists out there, like Shadman, who would often drive anyone who you want for the right price. I mean, just like Shadman drews Keemstar's 8-year-old daughter in a very suggestive manner.
Okay, so apparently people think it's funny to draw my daughter who is 7 years old giving with Donald Trump. I'm calling the cops.
But besides the controversial extreme cases of weebs, there is also a completely other side. While the term weeb was once derogatory, it has evolved into a more playful term over time, used by anime fans themselves.
Don't flirt with him. I'm not going to...
Because in the 2000s anime became more and more prominent in the West, fans would embrace this term over time, but to be perfectly clear, it is used both ways. People who are not in Japanese culture perhaps just only heard the term and use it in a derogatory way, but anime fans who are into the culture of the rising sun would not think of this word as an insult if they were called that by their best friend. Again, obsession is quite dangerous in most cases, and every community has its extreme cases. Going so far as disregarding your own culture for another one is somewhat extreme in my opinion. You can also love and enjoy something without being head over heels. But I'm interested in your opinion, I don't know. Let's go to the next entry.
A lot of people get defensive about this. Look, I'm always getting harassed by everybody to make fun of do it. But as soon as I even touch anime, whoa, too far, everybody. Yo, everyone, like Frank, relax.
Hi, I'd like to take some time and explain the phenomenon of lolcats.
Now a very serious question. Are you a dog or a cat person? For me, the answer is simple. Say hello to Aga and Rina. But we aren't talking about lol dogs, but rather lol cats. Lol cats became an internet phenomenon in the early 2000s. While not exclusive to 4chan, lol cats were a staple of the early internet humor, but they were widely shared on the B-board.
That have come out of the site, some of you might be familiar with, are these lol cats. Just silly pictures of cats with text, and this resonates with millions of people apparently because there are tens of thousands of these, and there's a whole blogging empire now dedicated to pictures like these.
The term lolcat gained national media attention in the US when it was covered by Time magazine, stating that lolcats have a distinct old-school early 1990s feel to them. Users quickly started to experimenting with posting funny pictures of their cats paired with phrases written in a unique broken English style, much like seen in my videos, that became later known as lolspeak. It was random, it was weird, and it was considered funny. You'll be the judge here. In 2007, the lolcat phenomenon really broke out of the obscure corners of 4chan and went really mainstream when the website I Can Has Cheeseburger was launched, created by Eric Nakagawa and Kari Unibesami. I butchered that, but the site was dedicated to sharing the funniest lolcat pictures. The site became an instant hit with millions of visitors to laugh at cat pictures. But why? I mean, they're funny cat pictures. What do I need to say else? Soon, cat memes were popping all over the internet and lolcats became one of the first global internet memes. And just like that, let's go to the next entry. Before Instagram and viral TikTok videos, reels, shorts, whatever the hell you call them, something completely different would dominate the internet, and still does. And if you're thinking about ads, yes, you're correct, but I wanted to talk about memes. Remember Rage comics? If so, first of all, a kindly reminder to take your painkiller for your back, and for those who don't know about them, they played a big role on Reddit, Facebook and most importantly 4chan in 2008, which feels like a lifetime ago. Believe it or not, once again the birthplace of this type of a humor was 4chan. Rage comics started on 4chan back in the mid-2000s. specifically on the B and R9K board. People would share short, funny stories inspired by frustrations in everyday life. And just like that, rage comics spread like wildfire. But why? The answer is quite simple. They were easy to create and anyone could partake, turning internet users everywhere into amateur comic creators. These comics would also give birth to a few distinct characters. Some of those famous faces are the Fool Guy, who would scream in frustration, the Troll Face, representing internet trolls, and also honorable mention is the Forever Alone Guy, aka you. Each of them gave people more ideas to make even more funnier posts. The very first Rage comic was posted to 4chan B board or random board in 2008. It was a simple 4-panel strip showing the author's rage about being splashed by the water while being on the toilet, with the final panel featuring the zoomed in face of the now known Rage Guy. I know it's a quite unique way to start a trend, but it is how it is. As time went on, just like with Wojak and Pepe, more and more faces would join the lineup and the comics would evolve. This also resulted in new characters, like the Me Gusta, Derp and Herpina. Each one came with its own personality and own sets of jokes. But as time went on, Rage comics slowly faded into obscurity, and this was definitely a nice blast from the past for some of us. The people who haven't visited this era of internet probably think, how the hell is this funny in the first place? But it was a simpler time. But before I start to bother with some nostalgic nonsense, let's move to the next century.
Here comes that bullshit, what up? Here comes that bullshit, what up?
Now let's dive into one more recent meme from the mid-2010s called That Boy. So who's that boy? Well, it's a green frog on a unicycle. Is that boy Pepe's cousin? Well, sort of. Let's go to April 3, 2016, when the iconic That Boy meme surfaced into a Facebook group called Fresh Memes about the Mojave Desert, featuring a frog on a unicycle with the caption, "Here comes that boy."
Watch him rollin', watch him go, watch him rollin', watch him go.
The frog image originated from an animation factory, a clip art site that provided graphics for presentations. Soon after, That Boy spread across the internet. In May of 2016, a YouTuber named Zimo Nitrome released the viral video That Boy, remixing the meme with a voiceover and also including the instrumental of Crank That.
He be rollin' down the street, he be rollin' to the beat.
DJ Cutman also created a trap version of the meme shortly after, and by June that same year, That Boy became a widely recognized meme and even inspiring several revivals on Reddit in 2017. Now, how iconic was this meme? I don't know, I never saw it back in the day, so it's hard to tell, but as I can figure out, it was quite popular as it has 60 million views on YouTube, so that's quite something. But here comes the kicker to the story. Even if this was a quite simple and absurd meme, I mean it's a frog on a unicycle, but I didn't find any direct connection to 4chan. I found out that people would spread the meme throughout 4chan, but also many other sites. But like I said, the origin of this meme, as far as my knowledge goes, isn't on 4chan. If you have more info about this, leave a comment, I would appreciate it. And now let's go to the last entry of this layer.
He be rolling down the street, he be rolling to the beat. Watch him roll.
I sold an NFT of my meme for $600,000, and this is that story.
Who would in 2011 guess that a flying cat with a Pop-Tart body would take over the internet? This meme even made it into the Hall of Fame, and its unexpected rise to fame is quite wild. The story begins in April 2011 with an artist named Chris Torres.
My name is Chris Torres, but you may know me as the creator of Nyancat.
Known online as the PR Guitar Man, during a live charity drawing event, after being suggested by some viewers, Torres would create the original art pixel style of his cat combined with a cherry Pop-Tart body. When Torres posted this drawing on his website and Twitter, or X, it initially caught the attention of his followers, many of whom thought it to be completely absurd. but it was a cute creation and it was a perfect symbol of internet randomness. This simple meme would later evolve when the YouTuber seen on the screen paired a cut image with a catchy Japanese pop song created by 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙘𝙪𝙩. It was a quite repetitive tune, but a upbeat one. And it was like a match made in heaven. Uploaded on April 5, 2011, the video Nyan Cat hit millions of views within weeks.
The user Sarah June actually uploaded Nyan Cat with the popular song from Daniel called, the Nyan 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 song. And that's where it really just like exploded into the mainstream.
And there is no wonder there are hundreds of parodies, remixes, and even music covers out there. And if you're feeling down and blue, just remember there is a 10-hour-long extended mix of this waiting for you online. Thank me later. But is this meme connected with 4chan? Well, it actually is this time. 4chan's random and music board were among the first places where Nyan Cat videos began to gain massive traction. 4chan users started to share the original video and remixing it with different soundtracks, mashups, and even pixel variations. To put it simply, the Nyan Cat became a viral hit. And if you didn't know, in April 2011, the Nyan Cat music video ranked 9th in the Business Insider's list of the top 10 videos, amazing a total of 7.2 million views. Additionally, the Nyan Cat won a Webby Award in 2012 for the Meme of the Year. Also, funny thing I want to add that Christopher Torres, the creator of the meme, decided to sue Warner Brothers for copyright and trademark infringement because the Nyan Cat appears without any permission in their game called Scribblenauts. Torres explained that he initially tried to negotiate a compensation but felt repeatedly disrespected and snubbed. The lawsuit was settled in September of 2013, with Torres receiving payment for the use of his character, and he would later trademark the Nyan Cat. Torres even turned the original Nyan Cat GIF into an NFT, selling it for nearly $600,000 and proving that this quirky rainbow flying cat still has an audience in meme culture. It is just amazing how this spontaneous sketch rose to fame and became an internet phenomenon.
A Burger King employee in Mayfield Heights standing in 2 lettuce bins. Pretty gross.
Everyone knows how fast food is not good for you. Many times we are served with gene-manipulated foods with questionable quality.
Ultra-processed food affects people's mental abilities.
Now, phthalates are industrial chemicals used to make plastics more flexible. They can get into food during processing and potentially...
But when you eat the chicken, you eat the cow, you eat the hormones.
But an anonymous 4chan user wanted to take this one step further. How do you ask? To answer that, we need to go back to July 16, 2012, when a photo was posted on 4chan's B-board. The image showed is a Burger King employee standing in a trace of lettuce with the caption, "This is the lettuce you eat at Burger King."
Disgusting. Oh my god, ew! That's repulsive. I'm not eating there ever again. Oh my god, ew!
Truly disgusting behavior, as every one of us expect to be served with fresh and clean ingredients, even if it's Burger King. Some consider this at first glance to be just another low-effort attempt at trolling. But what made this photo truly legendary was the consequences, as 4chan loves to hold people accountable. The post went live at 11:38 PM on July 16, and mere 20 minutes later the Burger King in question was alerted about the employee. But how did 4chaners manage to pinpoint him down so fast? Well, the 4chan dwellers examined the metadata of the photo. You see, the Burger King employee hadn't removed the X-file data from the uploaded photo, so they managed to find his location in Mayfield Heights, Ohio.
Ever heard of it? Whenever you take a digital photograph, information is always attached to whichever picture you take. And if you post that picture online, that info goes with it. So people have the ability to see when you took the picture, what kind of camera it was taken with, whether you used a flash or not. Some programs will even show you a map. So even though it may...
And just 10 minutes later, at around 11:58, a link was posted to the BK's Tell Us About section on their online forum with the photo attached. Then the Cleveland Scene magazine caught a hang of this and contacted the BK in question the next day.
And when this pic was posted, it left lettuce trails right back to the scene of the crime. Burger King gave us this statement. They said, food safety is a top priority at all Burger King restaurants, and the company maintains a zero-tolerance policy against any violations, such as these ones in question.
When questioned, the breakfast shift manager said, "Oh, I know who this is. He's getting fired." So basically, Fortune cancelled this guy in a matter of minutes, just showing you how quickly our online community can identify and punish bad behavior. Truly extraordinary.
Number 15. Burger King foot lettuce. The last thing you'd want in your Burger King burger is someone's foot fungus, but as it turns out, that might be what you get.
I don't have legal guardianship of him, but for the next 48 hours, he's with me. So, and we gonna go full crazy.
Okay, you probably knew that the pop icon Justin Bieber was multiple times targeted by 4chaners.
Tasteless prank organized by a bunch of internet trolls from 4chan.
Posted this message on 4chan's infamous B section. Let's start a self for Bieber campaign, tweet a bunch of pics of people themselves and claim we did it because Bieber was smoking weed. What the f?
So let's talk about the time they wanted to ship him to North Korea. It all started when Justin Bieber's team launched an online poll in 2010, asking fans to vote on where he should perform next. The campaign was designed to engage with the global fanbase, but 4chaners had an idea, why not to hijack the vote and send Justin Bieber to North Korea. Many of you know that the country's government tightly controls foreign influences and has little interest in popular culture, especially from the West. So Justin Bieber was just a perfect fit for such a country. But the internet trolls of 4chan weren't aiming for realism. They wanted to make headlines and poke fun at the Bieber's fanbase. The campaign succeeded in bringing North Korea to the top of the poll, spreading widespread media coverage. It definitely sparked news articles. But Justin Bieber never performed in North Korea. This was just another prank by 4chaners, just to show how easily polls can be manipulated.
Apple is like a ship with a hole in the bottom, leaking water. And my job is to get the ship pointed in the right direction.
Can we agree that Apple products are quite pricey? They are definitely a premium brand, and with that there is no wonder how the prices of their stocks are highly valuable and sought after. But there is a way how to get a discount on these stocks. Let me tell you the story of how 4chan managed to crash Apple stock prices. This originated from the iReport, a user-generated news platform run by CNN, where 4chaners decided to make up a fake story about how Steve Jobs, Apple's iconic co-founder, has suffered a major heart attack. It quickly spread across forums and social media, causing panic among investors. Within hours, Apple's stock prices dropped by nearly 10%, erasing billions of dollars in market value. But it was quickly debunked by Steven, as he said, "Reports of my death are greatly exaggerated." The stock would later eventually rebound, but if you're thinking about investing in stocks, please remember to calculate the risk with the 4chan factor included. This really shows the vulnerability of both financial markets and online news platforms. It just shows how easily false information could spread. And also, this wasn't an isolated case.
It's so sad Steve Jobs died of ligma.
Who the hell is Steve Jobs?
Ligma balls.
This is quite a tricky topic to cover, but a quite absurd one once again. As you see, 4chaners love to make mayhem and love to make people laugh. Now the humor type is here quite questionable, as humor like this would get you in jail in Germany in a blink of an eye. But I think that people in America were also quite shocked when they looked up Google 100 trends, and there it was. On the first place was a term called swastika top hat. This entry is once again a prime example of internet's ability to cause and manipulate algorithms for no reason other than chaos. The phrase swastika top hat doesn't have any meaning. It's simply a random combination of words chosen by trolls to exploit Google's trending search algorithm. This was also documented in the Los Angeles Times with the rise and the fall of the Google swastika. This happened the same week one of my favorite cell phones was released, the iPhone 3GS, and the term top hat managed to surpass it on the trendings list. Various theories started to circulate about this phenomenon. A blogger called Dan from TDIXP pointed out that the swastika was a traditional Chinese good luck symbol, and perhaps it had something to do with the upcoming Olympics. Additionally, the Chinese press reported about a scandal where a mural featuring a Nazi-inspired swastika was displayed on a building in Xi'an. So here comes the kicker. Despite the attention, it was later revealed that these searches came from the US, so maybe there was a movement on a rise, but as you can guess, the busy dwellers thought of this as being a funny idea. For the trolls involved, the campaign wasn't about spreading a message, it was about proving a point they could manipulate a massive corporation's algorithm with minimal effort. The same thing happened with Justin Bieber and Apple. These campaigns would reveal flaws in the algorithmic systems and serve as a reminder of how easily technology can be exploited.
But this is a sign that one woman who lives in this area didn't expect to see. The words "pools closed" with the image of a black man posted on the gate behind me.
We mentioned this in the previous layer where we talk about Anonymous, but let's dive a bit more deeper into the Habbo raid. If you were active in the mid-2000s, you might remember the Habbo Hotel, which was a virtual MMO game, and a popular one at that, and this entry refers to the Pool Close campaign organized by 4chan. It was once again a series of raids carried by the group Anonymous against the online social networking site Habbo Hotel, where the members of the group formed human blockades to obstruct the entry points of popular hangouts with their avatars, dressed in afros and in business suits.
For example, messing with online children's games like Habbo Hotel. The pranks are often anti-Semitic or racist, and always posted on the internet.
The first raid was launched sometime in summer of 2006 after rumors began to spread on 4chan that some Habbo moderators had tendencies to ban users based on the color scheme of their avatars. And because of this, the group Anonymous started to flood their servers with their avatars, and they would all type in the chat, "The pool is closed due to..." Even a piece of software was developed called the Pool Tool, which is quite a hilarious name, which was released as a freeware to provide tips on how to unban a character, spam phrases repeatedly, and bypass the censor filter in the chat. Also, a quite notable thing is to add here that some people decided to protest in Finland and decided to dress as the Pool Closed guys. Even though this was a quite noble moment, using avatars to form a was perhaps an unnecessary thing to do, but that's how 4chaners work, I guess.
According to some websites, this image is associated with a group of hackers who invaded a children's social networking site, blocking the virtual pool at a virtual hotel. Mary Alice says some people suggested it was just an online inside joke brought to the real world.
A joke is when two people laugh. I'm not laughing.
Trayvon Martin, a Miami teenager, was coming from the store, from the 7-Eleven.
Did Trayvon Martin ask you if you wanted anything before he left for the store?
Yes.
What was that?
Skittles.
The story of Martin is the darkest entry in this layer. It is the part of the chart where we start diving into disturbing stuff. First of all, who was Martin in the first place? Well, he was a simple teenager from Sanford, Florida, described by his family and friends as a bright, energetic and loving individual. He enjoyed spending time with his family, playing video games and watching sports. He was also willing to work for his money, and he also had a strong interest in aviation. Sadly, Martin's life was cut short in 2012 when he was only 17, whose death sparked nationwide protests and debates about racial injustice in the US.
Thousands seeking justice in the shooting of an unarmed teen are getting ready to rally for Trayvon Martin in San...
At the same time this happened, many online communities railed in the support of Martin and his family, but there is a completely other side of this story. As the entry says, this is about Martin's hacked email account. After his Trolls from 4chan decided to hack his Gmail account and eventually managed to leak his personal information. They also started to post racial comments and memes mocking his death, further fueling tensions surrounding this case. I feel that this entry deserves a bit more attention, so here we go. What was the cause of Martin's death? Zimmerman, a neighborhood watch volunteer, spotted Martin and called the Sanford police, saying he looked suspicious. Because the police didn't show up, a few minutes later the two got in a confrontation.
Something's wrong with him. Yeah, he's coming to check me out. He's got something in his hands. I don't know what his deal is. They always get away.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Okay.
And Zimmerman ended up shooting Martin in the chest, killing him. During this confrontation, Zimmerman was apparently injured. He claimed he shot Martin in self-defense, and at first, he wasn't charged.
Zimmerman says he was defending himself, while others question why he was following a minor who lived in that community in the first place.
They always get away.
Are you following him?
Yeah.
Okay, we don't need you to do that.
Also, Zimmerman was known for selling Confederation flags and also guns, and he was arrested for using racial slurs, so make with this info what you want. The case quickly polarized the public, with many viewing Martin as a victim of racial profiling and Zimmerman as a symbol of injustice. Media outlets extensively covered this incident. Protests erupted nationwide demanding Zimmerman's arrest and trial. The police would later explain there wasn't simply enough evidence to contradict his self-defense claim, and Florida's stand your ground law prevented them from making an arrest.
And then I heard a hard breath man come and say, "What you doing around here?" And then I started hearing a little bit turn on saying, "Get off, get off."
Then what did you hear?
And then a second later, the phone hung up.
However, after the case gained national attention, Zimmerman was eventually charged and went on trial. In July of 2013, a jury found him not guilty of second-degree murder and manslaughter. This would cause even more of an outcry. The internet became a battleground. Suddenly hashtags like "Justice for Trayvon" started to pop up.
Here at home, outrage over the fatal shooting of 17-year-old Trayvon Martin is spreading now around the country. On Wednesday, marchers took to the streets in New York City and in Miami. Protesters are calling for the arrest of the shooter, Neighborhood Watch volunteer George Zimmerman.
But let's focus on the hacking part. It was done by an anonymous user, which first of all just shows you how chaotic and evil the internet can be. The hacker would leak everything, from Martin's email, photos, social media posts, even school records. All of this was later shared online through platforms like 4chan and Reddit and many other. But why would somebody do this? Well, apparently to shed light on the situation and portray Martin in a bad light. Critics of Martin had pointed out his tattoos, one of them being an empty Mary Jane bag. Also, they leaked some messages from his cell phone to claim that he had a violent nature, and they are trying to keep this information away from the public. The anonymous hacker was also apparently a white supremacist.
Revelations surfaced that the teen's high school had suspended him 3 times for offenses including vandalism, tardiness, and truancy, and at the time of his death, a 2-week suspension for a baggie containing marijuana residue found inside his book bag. The family reacted angrily, accusing Sanford police of maligning their son.
They've killed my son, and now they're trying to kill his reputation.
To make this situation even worse, people thought it would be a great thing to spread even more disinformation to portray Martin even in a worse light. As racist and dehumanizing comments would start to pop up everywhere, users would use the leaked information to slowly shift the narrative around Martin's death. Suddenly the group Anonymous showed up and targeted George Zimmerman by releasing what they claimed were his personal details, including email accounts and phone numbers. While their action was controversial, they tried to bring justice to this case, some claim. But Martin's case raised significant ethical questions about boundaries of internet activists and the misuse of personal information. I know they wanted to dig up the truth, but many people view this as unethical and illegal invasion of privacy. Also, the lack of accountability caused quite a few problems for the law enforcement, especially when they occur on decentralized and anonymous communities like 4chan. This is quite a deep rabbit hole, but I think this would give you a good explanation of the case. Also, Zimmerman decided to file a $100 million lawsuit against the family in December of 2019, claiming false evidence and abuse of process. However, in February of 2022, the judge dismissed the case, stating there was no evidence to back Zimmerman's accusations. Also, a memorial was dedicated to Martin at the Goldsboro Westside History Museum, a Black History museum in Sanford, in July of 2013. That same year at the White House, President Obama was also talking about Martin and the shooting and said, "If I had a son, he would look like Trayvon, and I think that his parents are right to expect that all of us Americans are going to take this with the seriousness it deserves." And also, I don't need to tell you that this also sparked a better profiling about the laws regarding self-defense and I hope you see the seriousness of this case. Now let's go to the next entry, which is a bit more lighthearted.
Do you regret that you killed Von Martin?
Unfortunately, the Department of Justice is conducting a civil rights investigation. So those are the types of questions that, because of the investigation, I have to tread lightly and I can't answer them.
We all acknowledge the existence of 4chan, but we do not mention, provoke, or try to monopolize 4chan in any way.
4chan with Tumblr was quite a sight to behold. This was the war of two cultures. To understand this war, we need to first explore the platforms themselves, and for the sake of this video, I will try to keep this as compact as I can. So, on the one side we have Tumblr, the home of fandoms, art, social justice, advocacy, and quirky humor. It was a space where users celebrated creativity and self-expression, often posting about their favorite shows, social causes, and personal struggles. Tumblr's cultural roots are connected with a sense of community and progressive ideologies. And on the other side, we have 4chan, an anonymous image board, infamous for its lack of moderation and anything goes mentality. 4chan users love to troll people, shock humor, controversial content, and often using their anonymity as a shield to say whatever they want. You can think of these two sides almost like yin and yang. Because 4chan's audience was predominantly male, Tumblr users often viewed 4chan as a breeding ground for toxic masculinity and for people who love to harass other people online. Meanwhile, 4chan users mock Tumblr users for their oversensitivity, performative activism, and cringe fandom behavior, if this makes sense. These tensions came to an eruption in 2014 when 4chan's B-board declared war on Tumblr. First they started a raid, just like on 𝙎𝙪𝙥𝙚𝙪 Hotel. Again, the things they were accused of were, let's say, true. I mean, they orchestrated their attack by choosing fandom heavy tags like Supernatural, Doctor Who, and Sherlock, Tumblr's most popular fandoms, let's say. And they flooded these tags with shocking content like gore, and offensive memes.
Basically, they can't go on any tag because every tag is basically filled with gore. It's not fun, it's actually pretty serious.
Their goal was to disrupt the cozy community and provoke an outrage. And they did succeed with that, but Tumblr didn't back down. And the users of Tumblr would retaliate in the most Tumblr way possible, let's say, with humor and relentless positivity. They coordinated their own raids on 4chan, flooding their boards with that was tailored to annoy 4chan users. This included pastel edits of meme, over-dramatically fandom crossovers, and aggressively positive messages. This was definitely something that 4chan didn't expect, but over time the war fizzled out and faded to obscurity. The 4chan with Tumblr war may seem a bit absurd in hindsight, but this feud would also foreshadow larger cultural battles on the internet, which followed in the next years. And now let's go to the last entry of this layer.
Makeup, turning up DNA anomalies that I can only classify as alien.
Don't think of this entry as something you would see usually on Winigu's channel. Oh boy, this is way more serious. Well, a grey alien, besides the green one, are the most recognizable things in terms of cryptids and the world of UFOs. Also, if you are somehow into cryptids and wild stories about ominous creatures, there is a 4.5 long chart waiting just for you on my site that desperately needs some love. Now, the grey alien is a symbol of extraterrestrial life that has captivated the internet and pop culture for decades. Grey aliens would often have large heads, almond-shaped eyes and slender bodies, and they would drive around the sky in their shiny UFOs. They would gain prominence in the mid-20th century through alleged abduction stories and sightseeings, becoming the default image of extraterrestrial life in popular culture. I mean, you watch things like X-Files. Weren't you terrified while watching this as a kid? As it definitely left a mark on me, especially the music. But to not get off topic, what the hell has the green alien to do with 4chan? Well, on November 21, a user on 4chan posted an image to the paranormal board, or X, of what was claimed to be an alien. The image was accompanied with the following text. This was a picture that was taken from inside a car that I was working on. The full story was, I was working on it about at 11 PM and I heard a bang on the front of the car. I thought it was a raccoon, so I took a picture with a flashlight to scare it off. But when I took the picture, I got this. Having seen this, I turned on my flashlight only to see that it has disappeared. I had matched up the pictures next to the car and the wall behind it and measured how tall it would be, and it was about 8 feet. Can anybody tell me if this was a prank on me or if this was real? Honestly, I think it's real. The alien resembles a typical grey alien with slight differences. The most notable thing is how tall the grey alien was. The original post garnered over 400 comments in the response. The image was later shared on Reddit, particularly on the subreddit r/alien, where it received even more attention. And this was the picture in question. And I don't know how this picture managed to receive so much traction, but it somehow did. I mean, the dashboard of the car looks like it was cropped from Borderlands. And the alien looks so terrified, the same way you look at me when I ask you to subscribe to my channel. But again, this is a part of 4chan history. Also, I wanna add a very small bonus and a quick story here, where 4chaners shared a story of a guy who took a picture of an alien.
Babbling, saying, you know, oh my god, it's alive, and hoping maybe it would run away. But it didn't. It stayed in the freezer.
The story goes that a man by the name Jonathan Reed was minding his own business while being in a forest and suddenly saw a huge alien, and suddenly he decided to pick up a tree branch and beat the alien to his death.
Eric, for God's sake, knock it off! Respect my daughter!
Just imagine traveling through galaxies to find intelligent life and you end up in a forest on Earth and suddenly you're getting beat to death by a guy with a tree branch who looks like Magnum, who would eventually then lock you up in his freezer.
You know, of military type people, beating people up, killing them, or threatening their lives to make them silent.
I mean, this could spark an intergalactical war. But sadly we are all here and the war was avoided. And I'm so sorry for making this video a bit shorter than the last two. The reason being that 27 November should have been the 19th birthday of my brother, so again, I took some time off to visit my family and just to be around them. Have you ever had one of those moments where reality seems to glitch? Like something isn't quite right, like spotting a stranger in the distance who looks exactly like you but disappears in a blink of an eye, or the feeling of being stalked by a shadowy figure during a quiet evening walk. Maybe you even seen some bizarre things like a hiccup that you would usually see in a video game, but this time it did happen right in front of your eyes. These are the eerie moments that left you questioning everything you know about the world around you. But what would you do if I told you there is another reality? A glitch that would pull you out of our world and transcend you into a place where you would wake up to a smell of an old moist carpet accompanied by the endless background noises of fluorescent lights buzzing at the home. Because this series is dedicated to 4chan's darkest corners, it would be a shame to not talk about the very uncanny and mundane concept that took over the internet, at least over the horror part of the internet. So I wanted to throw a little bit extra for you this time, and I hope you don't mind. So this entry, if you didn't figure out, is about the backrooms. What are the backrooms, where they originate from, and why do I find them very interesting, we will discuss right now. In May of 2019, on X, or the paranormal board, there was a post by an anonymous user who posted a picture of an empty room with yellow wallpaper, fluorescent lights and a damping looking carpet, something we know now as the original backroom. People said that the picture seemed off and that a sense of unease would shiver down the spine as they looked at this uncanny post. Along the image there was a brief description that introduced us to the concept of no clipping out of reality, a term borrowed from video games, where if you bump into a wall there is a chance you could get through it, often resulting that you would find yourself trapped in an endless and eerie silent maze. The original post captures something profoundly unsettling in my opinion. While the image itself depicted an ordinary room, the idea of being lost in a vast, seemingly infinite series of such spaces resonated with many. It drew on the concept of liminal spaces, locations that feel familiar yet strange, such as empty malls, parking garages, or abandoned office buildings. These places evoke a sense of nostalgia and unease, making you feel like you're stuck between two worlds. On 4chan, the description warned of the dangers of the backroom with this quote: "Endlessly wandering, a fate of humming fluorescent lights and the entities lurking in the shadows." The initial combination of this image and the text struck a chord, leading to an interest that would only grow over time. This is something similar to the SCP projects. This is something we covered on my Disturbing Games Iceberg Chart, if you remember, where fans would start to create their own stories and concepts that would later spread on other platforms. Fans imagined the backrooms as a multi-level universe, with level 0 being the original yellow-walled room, which follows with the level 1, which often featured industrial settings, while level 2 could introduce oppressive heat and hostile mechanical entities. What makes the backroom so weird and ominous is that it taps into the fundamental human fears. The dread of isolation, the terror of the unknown, and the uncanny familiarity of liminal spaces. It has a minimalistic horror aesthetic. Many would say the backrooms have a strong nostalgic undertones. The yellow walls and buzzing lights evoke memories of office spaces or school corridors, environments that you probably encountered in your life. People would also often claim that they would see strange things happening in their lives, things that seem quite off. Most would argue that these are the glitches we encounter in our everyday life, which we need to avoid at all costs to not end up in the other world. Even if the backrooms look interesting, there are things there that just wait for you to unclip into their world. Humanoid looking things resembling dogs, which would walk on all fours, often emitting a distorted cry. If you somehow manage to come across their path, run immediately in the opposite direction. But this became much more than a post or a concept, as there are people claiming that this is very much real, with even complete instructions on how to get there. Maybe, just maybe, the next time you bump into a wall or simply go to sleep, you will transcend into this world. And if you're interested into the backrooms a little bit more and you wanna be prepared, just let me know. God save you if you hear something wandering around nearby, because it sure as hell has heard you.
A police warning about an internet fad is being mocked in cyberspace. It all started with a California police department, but a warning against a cartoon bear preying on children was issued here in Tulsa.
I have a feeling that this entry might result in this video being demonetized, but that won't stop me from discussing this topic at all. Now, how could this seemingly cute little bear be involved into something that would land this video to be demonetized?
12 years old!
Too old. Do not want.
Well, this bear started as a satirical meme and originated from the anime section of 4chan. What a surprise. If you never heard of this bear, that's actually a good thing. If someone refers to you as one, that's a strong indication you should be behind bars.
It's bad enough he's a bear, but he's also a pedophile.
He's just a bear. Thanks for the honey, Father Bear.
Nom nom nom.
Pet bear is a term, but also a form of symbol for inappropriate or predatory behavior towards children.
Internet joke or seemingly innocent menace. Pet bear, the cartoon image, and the people who dress up like it have police putting parents on alert.
Absolute disgust to think that a group of people who are child predators would have a mascot.
However, the original bear has a much different history. The roots of this meme are from the Japanese board 2chan, and the bear involved from Kuma, which was a Japanese bear compiled with text. Unlike P-Bear, Kuma does not have anything to do with sexual assault. Eventually posting Kuma on the thread was used for baiting and fishing for attention. This is also the point in time where Kuma reached its final form, so to say. On 2chan, Kuma was often depicted in images sleeping with children, and 4chaners immediately exploited this to create the P-Bear. As Kuma made its way from Japan to US, things would look much different. 4chan would use this idea and created a P-Bear persona. The text form would eventually evolve into a picture format. 4chaners would use oftentimes this image when people tend to express a weird interest in anime which would involve children, especially if they are in swimsuits or people who are in lolly, a topic we already covered a few times on my channel.
I took my pants off! Are you happy? You're sick. You are sick.
But even if this was a simple prank or just an accusation, media sites in 2010 thought of this a bit differently. They warned the public about the dangers of the P-Bear, and it sparked quite a backlash as suddenly cosplays of bears would pop up around the Comic-Con that was held that year. This prompted even the intervention of law enforcement, because the media outlets thought of P-Bears of a special group of PDFs who wanted to catch children.
What started as a popular Japanese cartoon is now a symbol for unthinkable crimes against children.
The bear's cute. The bear is cute. But that is what the pet are using to identify each other.
But the story doesn't end here, as the P-Bear would also evolve into a special seal of approval, which were put on questionable pictures, with the phrase, "Is that some lolly?" Today, P-Bear is less prominent, but it remains a point of discussion in the internet history and meme culture. As things like PDFs are more and more prominent online, I don't know how to think about this meme. Even if it started as a mockery about creepy guys, slapping a seal of approval should not be the first thing to do when spotting somebody creeping on children.
We'll have to stop him ourselves.
But should this meme be viewed only as a harmless meme, or should we look at P-Bear as a symbol of awareness, is something I'll let you to decide. Heck, perhaps you think that P-Bear should be the next Olympic mascot. I don't know.
We'll protect the children, you bastard.
Also, for whatever reason, perhaps it's a generational thing, but every time I hear the term P-Bear, I think about the South Park episode where they had a bear who teaches about sexual harassment.
Don't say that, don't touch there, don't be nasty, says the silly bear. He's gonna tell you what's right and wrong. Sexual harassment, panda.
I think you mistaken me for somebody else. Nom nom nom.
Bomb threats called into state capitals across the country, causing mass evacuations. The scene playing out this morning in Frankfurt.
How far can you run with a joke until it becomes a bit inappropriate? The definition of what's funny and what's not is also highly debatable nowadays. I somehow feel that people can't take a joke like they used to. Now 4chan does love the funny games they play with the public, and some of the pranks are considered quite harmless.
From the very first, shaved, bald for Bieber.
But this story isn't about a harmless prank. The story goes back to the era when Pluto was downgraded from a planet to a dwarf planet. Elder Scrolls hit the shelf, but also it was the year when the dictator Saddam Hussein was executed. This was also the era and time when people understood that you should simply not mess with the power of the internet, as it can be an unstoppable force. The suspect today was Jack, a simple 20-year-old grocery store worker from Wisconsin. This simple man was charged with willfully conveying false information, which carried a maximum penalty of 5 years in prison and $250,000 fine, just because he made a few posts online. You see, Jack thought it would be funny to make a prank/hoax on 4chan about detonating dirty bombs at 7 NFL stadiums across various states, including New Jersey. These dirty bombs were apparently radioactive and would spread across the area. He threatened to cause mass casualties, claiming that the bombs would be delivered by a truck targeting open-air stadiums to maximize fallout and chaos. And I don't think I need to tell you that law enforcement reacted quite seriously when this post started to pop up online. Bomb threats and school shootings are things where law enforcement loves to react as quickly as possible, even if it's a hoax. This is why the police, alongside the FBI, wanted to hunt down Jake. Later investigation proved that Jack spread around 40 posts between September and October in 2006. And as you can guess, they would find Jake pretty quickly. He was arrested for wasting security resources and initiating public fear. Because of this, he was later taken into custody by the local police and then handed over to the FBI and was set to appear in a federal court. Despite the severity of his claims, he was presumed innocent until proven guilty. There is also a reason behind his posts and why he targeted American cities. After the plane's executions, the towns would be a wasteland and they would gain the nickname the American Hiroshima, and somehow he would try to push the blame on the Muslims. The attacks would coincide with the end of the Muslim fasting month of Ramadan, and he thought that this would spark civil wars across the world, bring the global economy to a halt, and allow general chaos to rule. It was proven that he wasn't capable of doing such an attack, so he did it because of the lols, I guess. Things like this aren't funny and should be treated with caution and seriousness, as human lives can be at stake, and the law will hunt you down if they deem that your jokes are a little bit more on the extreme side.
Aaron McLaughlin joins us now with more from CNN London. What an extraordinary tale of stupidity.
It is.
Mountain Dew game fuel, double XP spotted. Target acquired. Let's move out. Come on, Greg.
Greg! What are you waiting for, a care package? Come on, man, let's go.
Mountain Dew is a high sugar and caffeine drinks that many of us know, especially if you're a retro gamer from the Xbox 360 era. It's a drink that rains through many veins and keeps the Halo community up all night long. The original formula was invented in 1940 by a Tennessee man, and it was a drink that you could normally mix with alcohol. In the late 1990s it was bought by Pepsi and it slowly became the Mountain Dew we know today. It was beloved by many gamers, especially when they decided to launch the Game Fuel line, which was a limited series of soda flavors marketed toward gamers.
We can dominate Halo 4! 7,000! Are you with me? Yes!
Starting in 2007, they launched it alongside Halo 3 for the Xbox 360 in 2009 alongside World of Warcraft, and the same thing happened with Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 launched in 2011. But why I'm telling you all of this? First of all, the sales numbers of Mountain Dew were on an all-time high, but the marketing team wanted to take this one step further. They decided it would be a good idea to let their fanbase decide the name of their new apple flavor. Suddenly, on their website, there it was, dubbed The Dew. The premise was simple. Fans would be allowed to submit and vote for the potential names to be used for the Villa Italian Kitchen restaurant, an exclusive Dew flavor. Now on paper, this sounds like a good idea. People could vote and submit their suggestions. The problem was that their site had a slight security problem. Not only that, but the voting system was also not up to date, meaning it could be easily exploited. It allowed people to vote multiple times without any verification. 4chaners did wait 1 second to exploit the site. The first step was to add a video that would pop up if you ever decide to visit the page. Basically, you were rickrolled as soon as you visit the page. Now, I don't need to tell you that the names that were suggested were quite inappropriate.
Names that made it on the top 10 leaderboard, which Mountain Dew had to choose from? Gushing Granny, Fapple, Diabetes, Gushing Granny, Granny which is disgusting, Moist Nugget, and Soda. 4chan did it, go figure. This is...
And on the first place was Hitler did nothing wrong, which was actually a form of trolling by supporting the alt-right movement, but of course some of them didn't think of this as a joke at all. After those titles went viral, the site was shut down temporarily, and the company made an apology. Sadly, the company didn't receive the results they wanted, but the trolls didn't stop there, because they decided to make a petition on petition.org to choose the first name on the list, but of course this didn't happen. In the end, Mountain Dew decided to name their new apple flavor Mountain Dew Apple. A very smart and clever marketing move to name an apple flavored product. On July 9, 2014, the flavor was renamed to a new name, Electric Apple, and the flavor is still available nowadays. Taylor Swift is a name that you probably heard of. She's a Grammy-winning American singer and songwriter. She became famous for her deeply personal, narrative-driven songs like Love Story and Shake It Off. At least that's what the wiki page told me. I don't know anything about her, but I found out that she's also quite popular for her advocacy for the LGBTQ+ community and women's empowerment. So that's good.
To be honest about your feelings and who you love when you know that might be met with adversity from society.
Love it or hate it, Taylor Swift is a pop star who garners much media attention. If you're someone who enjoys her music, good for you. But you know how this goes. For every fan out there, there is a troll and hater hidden in a basement who simply wants to watch the world burn. In this case, Taylor Swift's world. So to gain more fame, I guess, Taylor decided in 2012 to partner with Chegg, a textbook rental company, and VH1 Save the Music Foundation for a contest. The idea was simple. Fans could vote for their school to win a Taylor Swift concert. The school with the most votes would receive a personal performance from Taylor and a $10,000 donation. Now, you see what the 4chaners did with the last entry. And also, 4chan and Taylor do have some history. Taylor is quite aware of this situation and the team behind her knows this as well. So they decided to make this poll 4chan proof. The first rule was you couldn't enter some random name like on the previous entry, or 4chaners would probably ship off Taylor to Mars. Her team was one step ahead. Taylor would also try to promote this contest online to draw as many people as possible to vote.
Hey guys, it's Taylor. I would really love to play a free concert at your school. So if you go on TaylorSwiftOnCampus.com, you can vote, and you could win a VH1 Storytellers concert, or one of 5 $10,000 scholarships. It's so cool. And it's all brought to you by Chegg for Good, and the school with the most votes wins. So vote. Good luck. See you.
But the dwellers had a brilliant idea. They hated her music, and the only people who could listen to her music were those who lacked any musical taste whatsoever. So the perfect place for the contest should be a place where nobody's ears could get hurt, and that would be the Horace Mann School, a school for deaf people. So you get the irony here. Arizona State had at the time about 3,000 votes, but 4chaners managed to raise over 50,000 votes for the Horace School in no time. Suddenly, news portals started to report how the popular singer Taylor Swift would have a concert in a school for deaf people. I mean, come on, this is quite hilarious. But the team would back out, stating that the 4chaners once again tried to troll Taylor. Taylor, despite performing in the Harvard Mud College, still donated $10,000 to the Horace Mann School. So in the end, we could say that this prank actually had a positive outcome, not like the next entry. You see, 4chan culture can be sometimes absurd, often mixed with shock value based humor. Some stories definitely went viral and sparked some backlash, like the 4chan story about the lettuce maniac who worked at Burger King. This time, it's a bit different. This all started on the 6th November 2011, just 5 days before Skyrim was released. I don't know why I mentioned that, but because this is quite a short entry, I want to go through the thread with you together. Commencing experiment in amphibian aviation. Frog is being put in a cryogenic stasis for docility during the attachment of the aviation equipment and will be revived. Frog not becoming docile quickly enough. Now adding vodka to the equation. Todd is now sufficiently docile, attempting to attach state-of-the-art aviation equipment. Aviation equipment attached, preparing for launch. Never forget the day the B-board sent a Toad into space. So yes, this is a post about a disturbed guy who decided to freeze a frog, then decided to drown it in vodka just to tie it with balloons and let it fly away. Definitely nothing to be proud of. This is pure animal abuse 101, and I don't understand who would hurt animals just for fun or the attention perhaps in this case. I'm not quite sure. This case went quite unnoticed as far as my knowledge goes, besides some people reposting this on Reddit and on few other sites. I don't have anything to add here, so let's move to the next entry.
You're gonna burn, alright.
Things like your private information should normally stay private and should not be shared around, but you already know about this, because every bit of information nowadays can be in one way or another used against you. Sometimes this could lead to hacked emails or bank accounts, people getting doxxed, or source codes leaked for major projects. This entry is about how Twitch became the target of 4chan. The reason is that they felt quite unsatisfied with how Twitch is handling its platform in general. This would lead to a massive data breach in 2021. If you never heard of Twitch, it's one of the most popular streaming sites out there, along with YouTube. Most of the content creators are hard-working gamers who would sit for days in a room and entertain people. But Twitch isn't limited only to streaming games, and you could mix things up. For example, you can play your video games in a swimsuit to gain a rock-hard following. It was launched in 2011 and was acquired by Amazon in 2014. What made the site so popular is that you can engage directly with your audience through a real-time chat. Now, a short question here. First of all, thanks to your support I finally acquired a decent cam and I was planning to start streaming soon. I just have a simple question before we go back. Should I even do this in the first place? I am feeling still quite insecure about the way I speak, so I'm not sure if going live is a good idea. But if you want to hang out with me and be around the people who support the channel, this could be a good way. Just leave a comment down below and help me with this. So, sorry for the interruption and let's go back. Now this entry refers to a massive 2021 data breach where Twitch's source code, creators payouts and sensitive data were leaked online by users on 4chan. The leak was attributed to a user on the B board who uploaded a torrent file containing the exposed data. everybody could go online, download the torrent file and see what Twitch hides behind its facade. The individual behind the leak claimed that the purpose was to show how Twitch was trying to control its platform and profit off its users. He managed to leak over 120 GB of information to the public. The hacker also stated this: "Their community is a disgusting, toxic cesspool, so to foster more disruption and competition in the online video streaming space, we have completely pawned them. And in part 1, I released the source code for almost 6,000 internet GIT repositories." Among the treasure trove of data, the most sensitive folders are the one holding information about Twitch's user identities and the password mechanisms, including the admin tools and the data from Twitch's internal security team. Some thought this was a simple prank and was a troll attempted by 4chan. But Twitch would quickly tweet this out: "We can confirm a breach has taken place. Our teams are working with urgency to understand the extent of this. We will update the community as soon as additional information is available. Thank you for bearing with us." This tweet just confirmed us that the breach was very real. Many were concerned about their passwords being leaked, but somehow what sparked even more controversy was the revenue leak. People were shocked to find out how much money their favorite streamers were actually earning. I mean, playing video games and interacting with people to earn 7 figures a year is quite something. But this is the world we live in today. That's why you have to wait 6 months for an electrician. Somehow I feel that the younger generations are overlooking jobs where you need to do something with your hands. Perhaps my perception is completely inaccurate, but that's how I feel, and this is how it works in my field of work. This leak is one of the most significant and high-profile incidents in Twitch's history, and 4chan was responsible for it. This leak not only exposed the internal secrets, but also raised questions about the ethics of revealing such sensitive information for public consumption. The bigger concern is the exposed source code itself, because it could be used as a template for future attacks. 4chan did it again, and I don't know what to think about this. Even if you're not satisfied with someone or something, leaking gigabytes of information is probably not the most ethical thing you can do.
In today's video, we're talking about America's most loved and most hated celebrity. You guessed it. The Biebs.
Justin Bieber was featured on the last entry, where I already hinted this entry to some point. The popularity of people like Justin Bieber and Taylor Swift made them the perfect target to be trolled, as there is a huge audience behind them who would do, for better or worse, anything for them. Obsession is never good, much like in this case. Now, let's go back to 2013, when all of this started. So Justin Bieber, the worldwide recognized pop singer and a role model to many young people, was caught doing something bad, let's say. He was smoking some Mary Jane, and the bad thing was that he was photographed while doing it.
I'm Mary Jane.
Like, that is my favorite name.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Now, first of all, I don't know where the photo was taken and if this was actually illegal. But he was 18 at the time, so he was a legal adult. Now, Justin understands that his fanbase is quite young, and he should have realized that an act like this captured on camera could reflect poorly on him. Now, 4chaners quickly started to think of a way how to create a prank around this and spread it online. They decided to make a hashtag called #ComingForBieber. The hoax was centered around self-harm in protest of the pop star's rumored use.
Prank organized by a bunch of internet trolls from 4chan.
Posted this message on 4chan's infamous B section. Let's start a self for Bieber campaign, tweet a bunch of pics of people themselves, and claim we did it because Bieber was smoking weed. What the f?
The problem was that much of his fanbase, like I said, were very young girls, barely in their teens. The hashtag quickly gained traction on platforms like Twitter and Tumblr, with both real and fake images being shared. While some users participated as a joke, others were genuinely alarmed, amplifying the hoax. Mental organizations and public figures criticized this movement as this is a thing that should not be exploited. Now, although the campaign was a hoax, it just highlighted the dangers of online misinformation and how quickly harmful trends can spread on social media. For the fans who actually did this, to go down this road is quite extreme, but when you are young your brains tend to work in mysterious ways, I guess. Parent control is important, and I don't know if Justin is here to blame, obviously not, because 4chan started this trend, but I hope you know what I mean by this. This is a prank go too far in my opinion. It's one thing to get someone's reaction for fun, but this time it's completely different, as nothing can you live scarred for life or even worse in extreme cases. Going bald for Bieber was somewhat funny, as people who believed in this lost their hair, but nothing serious didn't happen besides being mocked by others probably. 4chan just lost the extreme, and this entry is a prime example, but the next one is even more extreme.
Tonight I wanna show this off.
We can expect anything from the internet culture. We have covered so much odd and disturbing content on my channel, but there are still things that managed to surprise me. I never thought I would cover an entry about how a bunch of people cheered a guy to take his life, but this entry is exactly about that, of how 4chan's humor and actions are sometimes more extreme than we initially thought. Just a trigger warning here, as I will dive a bit deeper here. Now we need to go back to the 30th November 2013, where a guy made quite an unsettling post. "Hi, be bored. This is it. Tonight I will be ending my own life. I'm spending the last hour making the preparations and I'm ready to go through with it." As an old egg who has been on 4chan since 2004, I thought I would finally give back to the community in the best way possible. I am willing to un-hero on the cam for all of you. All that I request for you guys, to link me to a site where I am able to stream it for you guys. Then I will gladly fulfill my promise. By the way, if you didn't know, a hero is a term used to refer to taking one's own life, which originated in April of 2006, when a Minnesota 7th grader used this term and did just that. The premise was simple. The 4chaners needed to provide a stage where Steve could go out with a bang. This was posted on the B-board, known for its chaotic and unpredictable culture. As you can guess, they didn't have any problem with this. The goal was to get 200 people online, and 4chaners quickly managed to gather the audience. Now we have a small problem here. The only video online is muted. I don't know if Stevie deliberately muted himself or had some mic problems, but there is no sound in the video recording. Looking at the early parts of the video, we could see Steven talking to the audience and later using his phone. People would quickly see that something isn't right. The way how Steven behaved by grinding his teeth and having facial tweaks could be an indicator that he was under some illegal substance. As the stream went on, Steven decided, just like on Twitch, to engage with his audience. He stated they should choose the way how he goes out. Two of the most popular ideas was taking a bath with a toaster, and the second entry, which was in the end chosen, was starting a fire using a toaster. This immediately embedded Steve in the internet culture as Toaster Steve. For you know how this goes. For the guideline reasons, I need to censor the video. But let me talk you through. You could see that Steve is doing something in the left corner. Over time we could see that Steve was in a state of fear or distress. We could argue that he was actually enjoying the attention. As the dark smoke from the toaster started to spread through the room, Steve put on his hoodie and crawled underneath his blanket. There was so much speculation about the drugs he was using at the time. Some speculated amphetamine and play, while other things he was using painkillers like codeine, which helped with anxiety but would also have some nasty side effects when combined with alcohol. Over time the room was dark and filled completely with smoke. Because of this his body was barely visible, but it was apparent that he wasn't moving. As his body lay there, motionless, suddenly somebody jumped into the stream. An unknown man who grabbed his lifeless body and dragged him out of the room. Later it was revealed that Steven was actually a guy named Dakota Moore, a 20-year-old student At the University of Guelph in Ontario, Canada, it was revealed that Dakota tried to take his own life by swallowing a combination of pills and drinking vodka, along with setting his dorm room on fire. The firefighters managed to drag him out and he would eventually land in the hospital. He was in critical condition. In the meantime, it was discovered that Dakota was a 4chan user since he was 11 years old. The problem was that the event sparked sort of a movement where people would actually mock Dakota, making the Toaster Steve meme. The full video was completely lost and was considered lost media until 2023 when it was recovered. Speculation started to pop up that Dakota did this because of a student loan or because he was SAing his girlfriend and she reported him, but these were mere speculations. But we should not look at speculations. As far as my knowledge goes, the guy simply disappeared online. This case is quite extreme. I know that 4chan is slow to troll others, but this goes beyond your typical trolling, and if somebody has suicidal tendencies, we should not endorse them in any way. Especially not give the individual a stage with the audience that would decide his fate. We do live in a sick world. This isn't remotely funny or entertaining, as the video casts a dark shadow on the internet culture. People should help each other, but somehow I feel it's completely the other way around. Toasty Steve is the last entry on this layer.